Coachella residents making it clear they are happy to give Coachella Mayor Steven Hernandez a piece of their mind, but most won't give him a dime for his defense. Hi there, good to be back. Looks like citizens in Palm Springs are looking for a change. There's a new push to change how the city picks its mayor. A local group has filed paperwork to try and get a citywide election and an elected mayor on the November ballot instead of the current rotating system. Right now, the mayor role rotates among city council members, a system put in place in 2019. Supporters say voters should have a direct say, but some city leaders warn the change could impact district representation and needs more public input. Meanwhile, the city council is planning its own review of the idea, so this could end up being a bigger debate heading into election season. Contributors tonight, realtor Nick Collins and artist and creator Drew V. Okay, Drew V, why do you think people want to go back to a 4-year elected mayor?
I'm not really sure why they want to go back. I can understand from probably a mayor's perspective that a year in office really doesn't give him enough time to get a lot done. We know how fast a year can go. As far as the people, well, maybe they don't see the notion behind it, which is to try to give each district council member in each district a seat at the mayor so that there's no kind of bias between what one district wants or gets versus another. So, Nick, any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, going back, I love the system where it's by committee, it rotates. I feel like for small towns like Palm Springs and the rest of the valley, it's actually a great way to get more minds in there at a community rather than just one guy up top or a gal.
Yeah, but how do you get anything done with this committee? Wouldn't it be better if you had the mayor with an agenda and then the council votes on whether we implement the agenda or not, Nick?
I mean, I think a mayor can make a faster decision. Yes, you can also corrupt one person faster as well. So I think there's pros and cons of why you'd want, but I think if you get 4 people together to make a decision, lock them in the room. They should be able to knock it out. Drewby?
Yeah, I mean, I agree on that point. I think there's pros and cons to both methods. I just think, in a smaller city area that having the rotation maybe just needs to be modified, but definitely having the rotation seems to be a better fit.
7 of the 9 cities in the valley use the rotating system. All right, Droopy, why is that?
Maybe because they feel it works. They've implemented it, and they feel again that the representation being on a rotational basis is the best way to go.
All right, across the Coachella Valley, No Kings protests are gearing up again later this month as part of a nationwide movement pushing back on the current administration's policies. Next round is set for March 28th. 4 local events planned in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, and Indio. This is the 3rd major No Kings protest, with more than 1,000 events planned nationwide and millions participating in earlier rallies. Organizers say the movement is about pushing back against what they see as government overreach while keeping the demonstrations peaceful and growing. Nick, why do you think the No Kings movement gained so much traction nationwide and here locally in the Coachella Valley?
I think people like complaining. I think some people don't like the president. It's a great way to complain. And whoever the organizers are fantastic about getting these things out and alert. It feels like it's an event all the time for them. Droovy?
Yeah, I mean, maybe popularity, and they've been well attended. So I think locally it's given people who want to feel like they can have a say or say what they mean a chance to do so.
All right, let me ask you seriously now, Droovy. Do these things really do anything, or are they more ceremonial?
My opinion is they're probably more ceremonial, but again, a country of free speech, it's a way for people to, quote, peacefully gather and, share common thoughts for or against an issue.
Nick, a lot of folks say that these rallies are now un-American. What do you think when you hear that?
They can blow it out their wazoo. Of course it's American. People love politics. They love telling you what they think, and they love to do it in a public forum, and this is exactly what America's about. Just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean it's not American.
Droovy, do you agree or disagree?
I'm going to agree with Nick on that point.
Yeah. I understand. I really do think people get out and they gather and they share their opinions. But quite honestly, I don't know if it really does anything in this case. I mean, there are more of these now, right? And
But they're
everybody's.
building them. I think if you could build enough momentum, maybe there could be a change. Really depends on what's happening in the world, too, because if it gets worse, these rallies get bigger, in my opinion.
All right. On Monday, Tim told you about embattled Coachella Mayor Stephen Hernandez and his opening of a legal defense fund.
I think it needs to be said that this guy's got, 5 felony counts against him already, 4 of them perjury, 1 of them conflict of interest, and I think he has 4 misdemeanors for conflict of interest, and he's still collecting a paycheck. My feeling is he should be put on leave without pay, and if he's acquitted, he gets all that back pay, but he should not be in power. If I did that, I would not have a job.
Yeah, who'd give him a loan for $66,000? I mean, when you get a loan, they ask you, what are you going to do with the money? And if he says the truth, which is, I'm going to fight these charges that I basically misplaced the public trust and I grifted off to the system, and yeah, I'm going to fight that. That's what I'm using the money for. Who lent him the money?
Well, we're not surprised the online community had an awful lot to say about this, and let's just say Hernandez may not see a whole lot of financial support from this community.
Good job.
Please stop. Perfect.
The mayor faces a wave of public outrage over calls for taxpayers to fund his legal defense. While some argue he is innocent until proven guilty, the majority of residents are demanding he step down or be placed on unpaid leave. From comparisons to Donald Trump to labels of shyster and thief, the message from the desert is clear. The community is tired of paying the price for political drama. Look, here's the problem. As soon as he was indicted, perhaps what he should have done was step down until it played out. Coachella's in a rough place already, and having an indicted mayor is not doing the city and its residents any favors. Am I surprised? No. Politicians seem rarely to think about how their actions affect the people they serve. And remember, Coachella is one of only 2 cities in the valley that actually elects its mayor, so he's hurting the people who literally gave him his job. Politicians on both sides need to start doing better and quickly.
Good job.
Please stop. Perfect.
If you have been keeping an eye on the news in Cathedral City, the latest crime report is out, and this is a bit of a mixed bag. On the positive side, the city saw a significant drop, a double-digit drop, I should say, in violent crimes, which is exactly the direction everybody wants to see. However, that's being balanced out by a spike in property crime, specifically things like vehicle thefts and residential burglaries. They are keeping police busy. The chief of police is pointing to a mix of proactive patrols helping the violent crime numbers, while also reminding everybody to stay vigilant about locking their doors. It's a classic good news, bad news scenario as the city works to keep its momentum going into the rest of the year. Now, those are just Cathedral City numbers. Dhruvi, how safe do you feel in the rest of the valley?
I'm a Palm Springs resident. I feel relatively safe here. I do have to agree with the numbers, but violent wise, I definitely feel, safe from violence. But as far as the crime, I was a little surprised moving here from actually the DC area, how much goes on as far as property theft, porch pirates, vandalism, that kind of thing. So a little surprised at that. Doesn't make me feel unsafe, but just a little more vigilant in watching my property. Nick?
Yeah, I got a theory. I got a theory about the crimes that are happening and how they're connected. Because it looks like the drug crimes are up, right? People are doing drugs. And if you do enough illicit drugs, your mind gets lost, you need money. That's when you get those stealing of cars or house robberies. So I think all that connects.
If we're to be really honest here, are there places either one of you go in the valley? Check that. Don't go in the valley because you're concerned about what might happen, Nick?
Well, I feel like if you get a little too deep into the north side by the freeway, that's where I stay away from. I've seen homeless populations get moved out of there. Looks like they could be doing some drugs. And those people always I'm wary of because, like I said, when you're down and out and you got nothing to lose, you're going to start trying to get from others.
Dhruvi?
Fred, I try to stay out of the desert. My skin's too fair. I'll burn.
You try to stay out of the desert. your skin is too fair and you'll burn.
Mm-hmm.
The sun's a criminal.
You got to have buildings around. That's all I'm saying. You got to have a place to, get shelter. So you said if there's any place I don't want to go, it's the middle of the desert.
But
That's all.
you realize basically Palm Springs, the Coachella Valley, is in the what?
In
The desert. Right. So you just said you don't want to go to the place because your skin is fair, yet you chose to live in the place, only to be shielded by large buildings. That's it.
Yeah, so I stay downtown. That's all.
Downtown.
All right. Help keep your part of the valley safe. That's what a good neighbor does. Marlene, Palm Desert, needs to identify some creepy crawlers. She wants to know what are the big bugs jumping around. Locusts? Cicadas? Grasshoppers? Who knows? Mary, Cathedral City, wondering, does anyone else get a nail in their tire once a week driving across town? Roggin La Quinta needs to find a roof repairman who can deal with pool solar panels. Ivan in Indian Wells looking for a place to stay for Coachella, Thursday, April 9th through Sunday, April 12th. He's a college student and he'll be on spring break.
We never hear from anyone in Coachella or Desert Hot Springs.
Once in a while, say hi.
As a matter of fact, everybody tell us what you think.
Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Roggin or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
It's about a little kindness. Got to give it to Japan, right? Something as simple as a yogurt delivery is turning into a lifeline for the elderly. Women known as Yakult ladies don't just drop off yogurt drinks. They're also quietly checking in on older residents, especially those living alone. And in a country where nearly 30% of the population is over 65, that kind of human contact really matters. Over time, these deliveries have become an official social safety net, helping spot loneliness, health issues, or even emergencies. It's a simple idea, but it's turning into a powerful reminder that sometimes care looks like a quick visit and a friendly conversation. In Palm Springs, the percentage of people over 65 is 35%. Drewby, why don't we have services like this here?
I don't know. I think we should. And frozen yogurt would be better than regular yogurt. So I think it would be nice to get away from the ageism that, we're all guilty of. We get excited when we hear about a 100-year-old woman who still plays the tuba, and we're so shocked and surprised. But, basically you can do anything you can. And we shouldn't really let someone's, quote, age, define their capabilities of being able to do something. That said, it would be nice to know that we have some kind of services to check on people who may need some extra help, and and to feed them as well. So, Nick,
Would eat you off, Drewby. I would say because 40% of our population doesn't even live here half the time, and if you try to deliver yogurt in the months of June, July, August, and September, you'd be delivering curdled milk, is what you'd have on your hands.
People in America are working well into their 70s, so it makes me think, what other kinds of jobs work for an older person, do you think, Nick?
I think things that obviously, you're not breaking your back. So, in-store help, I love that. A lot of people don't go in stores because of the online, so that hurts. So it's really kind of a mind brainstorm you got to come up with to find these jobs for these people.
Drewby?
Yeah, it is nice. I think a lot of the places I frequent, that in the service industry, I'm seeing definitely all ages representative, and that's definitely a good sign. Hey, use your local population. If they happen to skew a little bit older, then, like I said earlier, don't let age, discriminate against somebody's capability to be able to carry on the same job as someone possibly younger.
This is really about kindness. Do you think large corporations in this country would go this far out of their way to help their clientele, Drewby?
I think they should. I think we need to shift more into a white glove, make people happy about the brand and have more positive impact on things. I know there's a lot of more backlash is what you kind of hear on the news. Instead, hearing about corporations helping out people in different ways, I think is a good way to go.
All right. She has handled big-time stars, and now she gets one of her own. During this Women's History Month, City of Palm Springs has chosen to honor one of its most extraordinary citizens, Dolores Robinson, the first African-American woman to work as a talent manager in film and television. In this edition of Desert in a Minute, Steve Sumrall speaks to the showbiz pioneer, as well as some of the talented individuals she's represented.
And she took care of me. We had a 30-year career that is enviable.
Actress Holly Robinson Peete is referring to her mother, celebrated talent manager Dolores Robinson.
She was the first black female personal manager in Hollywood, and she walked into rooms where people were not expecting her, not prepared for her, and certainly not ready for the level of excellence that she brought.
And because of this level of excellence, she is being honored by the city that she calls home.
We, the City Council of the City of Palm Springs, California, declare March 13th, 2026 to be Dolores Robinson Day.
1, 2, 3.
On this day, Dolores Robinson became the 486th recipient of a star placed on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars.
Y'all, I said good afternoon.
Among the many that have come to pay tribute was Dolores' first client, celebrated actor LeVar Burton.
When I say that she looked after me, she looked out for me, she looked over me, I mean that sincerely. You kept me safe at a very volatile time in my life.
Help Kunta be free.
When I met him, and he was doing Roots, and he came into the office of the agency I was working with, and he and I looked at each other and we thought, So when I left the agency, because the agency thought that LeVar should do a television series, a sitcom. And I thought, man, this guy's got a show that's going to be the most popular show in the world, blah, blah, blah. And he's going to come out and do a sitcom. And they were insisting that that's what they wanted to do. So I quit. And I formed what I call my company and took him on as my first client.
Having Dolores in my corner, looking after me, made the difference in my career. It is one of the primary reasons I have had the lasting career that I have.
Another client was former child actress Allison Porter.
When I was 5, I was the youngest person ever to appear on the original Star Search. And I didn't win in the finale because there was a judge who didn't vote for me. But as usual, that judge, Dolores, had bigger plans. She won me for herself, and we won much bigger. She was always there for all of us. She would go at any hour. She would go at any time to save us when we needed saving, even if we were Wesley Snipes.
In addition to Wesley Snipes, Dolores represented such stars as Martin Sheen, Pierce Brosnan, Mark Wahlberg, Jada Pinkett Smith, Howie Mandel, and Mariska Hargitay, just to name a few.
You know, bottom line, I knew everybody. Somehow I did. Showbiz, politics, sports, I just wandered the world.
For Desert in a Minute, this is NBC Palm Springs historian Steve Sumrall.
And when we come back, the Riddler checks in. You already know the McCallum Theater loves the community, and you know they love bringing the best of Broadway to the desert. Well, welcome to the netherworld. Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, the musical, comes to the McCallum this March 24th through the 29th. Tells the story of Lydia Dietz, a strange and unusual teenager whose whole life changes when she meets a recently deceased couple and a demon with a thing for stripes. If you love the movie, this rambunctious musical will be right up your alley. You can find tickets and information at mccallumtheater.org.
Hey guys, riddle me this. I'm a word of 5 letters. People eat me, But if you take away my first letter, I become an energy. If you take away my first two, I am needed to live.
We're in the desert. Give us your hot take. Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Roggin.
You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com. Don't desert us in the desert.
The Roggin Report is partially sponsored by Desert Oasis Healthcare. Your health, your life, our passion.
I am a word of 5 letters, people eat me, but if you take away my first letter, I become energy. If you take away my first 2 letters, I am needed to live. What am I? The word wheat.
Interesting. Okay, so I was off for a couple of nights. I apologize for that. But the story we did tonight, and it happened while I was away, about Stephen Hernandez asking people to contribute to his legal defense fund. Now, I'm not suggesting people should not ask for help if they need it, but I find it highly unusual that a public official would ask his constituents to contribute to his legal defense fund. Remember, NBC Palm Springs works 24/7. Go to the website, click on programs, click on The Roggin Report. Content from tonight's show will be up there, and content from our past episodes as well. Appreciate you watching. Have a great evening. Wheel of Fortune is next.